So thank you so much for everyone who joined. Super excited about this event. And again, thanks for inviting me. Today, we're going to talk about augmented reality, virtual reality, 3D applications, and how you can build an application yourself in 15 minutes or less. I'm going to start by saying, hello, I'm Alon, founder of echo3D. I did my master's in computer science at Columbia University, specializing in augmented reality and virtual reality and computer graphics, and my undergrad in computer science and electrical engineering. So I'm a certified nerd and a big believer in 3D applications and the intersection with cloud technology. Now, before we start, I want to level set here a little bit, define these terms that we're all going to use a lot. Most of you probably know them by heart at this point, but let's kind of just level set and make sure that we're all on the same page. So virtual reality, or VR, is when everything around you is fully digital. You're fully immersed in a 3D environment. And basically everything you see is being projected into your eyes through some headset or glasses that occlude everything you see. You're controlling and interacting with the world with some sort of controllers or your hands, but everything you see is being projected into your eyes, and you're fully immersed in this kind of digital construct. As opposed to augmented reality, or AR, which you still see the real world, that world is being overlaid with digital content. And that world is basically being changed through digital content that's being overlaid on top of it. You're looking at the world through some optical see-through, like kind of glasses or a headset, or a camera see-through, like a phone or a tablet. And again, that's kind of the biggest differentiation. A good way to understand this is the amazing movie Space Jam, in which we have Michael Jordan being teleported into Looney Town. Everything around him is kind of this digital construct. He's kind of fully immersed in the Looney Tunes world, interacting with Bugs and the other Looney Tunes in a fully cartoonish world. As opposed to what we have later in the movie, in which we have the Looney Tunes coming to our world, playing basketball with Bill Murray and Jordan in kind of this surreal life court. So that's basically the differentiation. Either we are being teleported into Looney Town, or Looney Town is coming to us. Now, this is obviously a comical example, but another kind of really great example of this is something that we all know, something like Pokemon Go, an amazing example for augmented reality, in which we have people running around and kind of interacting with digital monsters that are not actually there. As opposed to virtual reality, here we have an example of Beat Saber, a really cool VR game, kind of beat style game that allows you to slash cubes based on the rhythm of the music. But as you can see, you're kind of fully immersed in a digital environment, in a 3D construct that is kind of fully surrounding you. Now that we understand the kind of differences between augmented reality and virtual reality, another example of augmented reality is really close to my heart, and the pun is definitely intended, is my thesis project back at Columbia University, where we took CT and MRI scans, converted them into 3D models, put them on these smart glasses called HoloLens by Microsoft for the physician to wear. And then the physician was basically able to see the patient's heart floating above them during surgery. It was an amazing, amazing experience and an amazing use case of augmented reality in the operating room. The hashtag was AR in the OR. And what's cool about this is the physician basically got this 3D reference map of the patient's anatomy in real time. Again, amazing use case, amazing execution. But in order to achieve that, I had to do something that I really, really hate, and that's waking up super early in the morning. I had to be in the hospital around 6 a.m. to take those 2D scans, convert them to 3D models, deploy them to these glasses, kind of redeploy the application for the physician to wear. And as a developer, that process was so frustrating. It took so much time. And all I wanted to do basically is just to manage 3D assets and deliver them to an AR device, switching on a heart to an aorta to lungs. Why was I, an engineer, required to be in the OR to basically switch up 3D content? And when we saw this problem, we kind of started talking to other developers who are building applications in retail and shopping, data visualization, games, and they all said the same thing. There was no easy way to manage and deliver 3D data. But again, if you think about it, this problem was kind of solved in 2D. If you want to build a website, you can use something like Heroku as your kind of cloud platform, upload images and videos. If you're building a mobile app, you can use something like Parse or Firebase as your backend as a service. So you went from web to mobile to now this kind of new technology, AR, VR, 3D, XR, immersive, metaverse, call it whatever. Question has to be asked, who's going to build the same cloud platform for this new type of content? And you've guessed it, that's what we do at echo3D. We are a cloud platform for 3D applications that basically provides tools and network infrastructure for creators and developers like yourself to build games, AR, VR experiences, and any 3D application that you can think of, from NFTs to face filters to whatever you think. We kind of make sure that you can upload and handle 3D data, and then we stream it all over the world. Super excited about today's event. We're going to share demos. We're going to do a bunch of interactive stuff and try to build applications together. So really, really excited about this. And let's kind of get started. So the same way, if you think about it, that you don't need to be a web developer to update a blog post, you can drag and drop an image or video, and suddenly they appear on a website or a mobile app. And if I'm in New York and you're in California and we're both watching an episode on Netflix, we automatically get the best streaming experience. So at Echo, we basically translated these concepts into the virtual reality and augmented reality, providing you with the way to manage and deliver 3D data and get the best 3D streaming experience. And what's interesting here is this kind of bi-directional connection between data and location or data and target. If you think about images and videos, you as a user, you can't move an image or a video on a website, but you can definitely move a 3D couch across the room or a 3D avatar inside a game. And that location needs to be updated on the cloud. So that's kind of the big difference between how we handle 3D content and 2D content and why it's so different and why we need new tools to basically manage 3D content. So this is basically what we've built, this kind of content management system and delivery network that's kind of extremely focused on 3D content. And today I'm going to kind of share, again, some interactive demos and upload data and allow you to stream it to your phones right now through our platform. So you can kind of enjoy augmented virtual reality, but also learn how to build applications really, really fast. If you go to our website, you can register for free, absolutely for free. We have a generous free tier that you can register for. Just go to our website, www.echo3d.co, and you'll be able to build an application exactly as I'm going to do right now. So once you go to our website and register for an API key, you're going to get access to our platform right here. Hopefully, you can see my screen now. On the left, you should be able to see kind of our platform, and on the right, you should be able to see my phone. What I'm going to show you right now is that after you register to our platform, you get this API key. It's basically a project key that allows you to start building applications. You can have multiple keys, which basically means multiple folders or multiple repositories of 3D content that they basically allow you to kind of store and stream assets. Aside from that, we have all these different kind of software integration with Android and iOS, Unity and Java and Swift and Flutter and so on and so forth. And we're going to dive into those as well to basically make sure that you can build an application to whatever platform you want and stream the data from the cloud to your device. Later, we're also going to share kind of an in-depth Unity demo. So let's get started. So we have access to the platform. We have our key. Let's add some content to the cloud. So I'm going to click the Add to Cloud button right here. And in this menu, I'm able to add kind of images, videos, 3D models, and I can also use our kind of collection and search engine of 3D assets to get access to already 75,000 free models that you can use to build applications right now. And it can literally be anything. All of them are free, and I can do something like, let's say I want to upload this skyscraper. I'm going to upload it to our cloud. What happens right now is that we take that 3D model, we convert it, we compress it, we make sure it works on any device out there, and that it's kind of available to stream everywhere on the planet. Once it's done, we have this model right here. We can see that the original file format is OBJ, but under the hood, if we click the kind of downloads button, we'll see that our platform already converted it to other formats like GLB and USDZ. So this basically means that your kind of content is already ready to be consumed on different platforms and has these kind of different file formats. But let's start with something super, super simple. Let's view this 3D model from the cloud to our devices right now. So I'm going to click this button right here. It will open a QR code, which you can scan with your phones right now if you're watching this live. I'm going to do the same with my phone that you can see on the right. Basically opening the camera, putting the camera in front of this QR code, it redirects to a website. You don't have to install anything. So this is kind of an implementation of Web AR. You need no installation, nothing technical, just scan a QR code or go to a link. And basically that, that link will show you that same Empire State Building right now. So let's see how that works. So I'm gonna do this. We're seeing the Empire State in kind of the browser. If I click see in AR, camera opens up automatically. If I move the phone a little bit, the Empire State Building will appear on the floor next to me. How cool is that? I can pinch it a little bit to kind of move it around and make sure it kind of fits the camera. Super, super simple. How cool is that? I can walk around it, walk inside, super simple. So again, all I had to do is just to upload it to Echo and then automatically stream to the device by scanning a QR code. Super, super simple. Now, this web page is also something that you can kind of embed anywhere. If you use this short link that is basically the same as scanning the QR code, you can use the short link to share it to anyone. Basically, give everyone this link. It should open up automatically on any Android or iOS device, and they'll be able to see the Empire State Building right now. This is, again, really cool to make 3D content shareable and highly accessible. And you can also, again, embed this in a website, and then people could basically have access to 3D content on top of your website if you're building an e-commerce website or a store or anything. Okay, so we saw one example of web. Another example I want to show you is mobile app. So maybe I'll open a mobile app right here. Let's do this one. Data will stream from the cloud to the mobile device at this point. And we should be able to see the same building in front of us. There we go. Yeah, there you go. So very similar stuff, but now instead of a web browser, we have kind of a mobile app that is kind of installed on the device. Super, super cool. And again, just to show you that you can choose any platform that you want and any kind of technology. It could be mobile, it could be web. And later, we're also going to see how we integrate Echo with 3D game engines. Perfect. Let's look at other types of content and other things that you can kind of do in order to see and kind of basically deliver 3D content. So what we saw so far was basically allowing you to see a 3D asset on the floor next to you. That's called surface tracking or surface detection, basically using a technology called SLAM that allows you to kind of triangulate the area around you and project a 3D model on top of it. Other things that you could do is stuff like image recognition and face recognition. So let me show you how that works too. So if we click this button right here, again, opens the QR codes, but now instead of do see on the floor, I'm going to do see on an image. If you're watching this live, again, you can kind of scan it yourself and see it with me. I'm going to scan this QR code right here, redirects to website. Again, you don't need to install anything. Camera will open up, it basically will instantiate, and then the Empire State Building will basically pop out of the screen. Now, instead of having the Empire State Building sit on the floor, it sits on this image. This image right now is a QR code. This image could be anything that you want. It could be a magazine or a business card, and we're going to show later how that works. So basically allowing you to add any image that you want. Perfect. So we saw surface detection, we saw image recognition. Other thing that I want to show you is face recognition. So very similar process, scanning a QR code, redirects to a website. You don't have to install anything. We take care of all this kind of streaming to make sure that that works with your camera and it invokes the right platform. There you go. So now you can see me moving my head around and the Empire State Building literally jumps on my face. Instead of the Empire State, you can put like a COVID mask or anything kind of that works better with masks or like, makeup, anything goes. Perfect. So we saw how you can upload a 3D model. Other stuff that I want to show you is images and videos. So let's show that too. So now instead of deciding to take a model from the collection, I'm going to upload something from my local storage. So let's upload this image, for example, just a straight up JPEG. And I can also decide that I want this JPEG to be placed in a specific location. For example, New York. Let's say I want to build an app, then if you open it in New York, you're going to see the Empire State Building, but if you open it in San Francisco, you're going to see the Golden Gate Bridge. Kind of totally viable to basically create these Pokemon Go style experiences that you can kind of embed content based on locations. So you can already do that in Echo just by tagging data with specific locations. So we have this image right here. And what's cool about Echo is that we already kind of converted this image. If you go to this link, we already converted that to a 3D sticker. So that 2D image that you can, again, embed everywhere is basically a 3D sticker now that we can kind of place in different locations. How cool is that? So if you're working on an NFT project or some kind of art museum, you can literally upload 2D images and they'll be available to view in augmented reality. Let's see that now together. So I'm going to scan this QR code again. Redirects to a website. Again, don't have to install anything. And if you're doing this right now with me, you can kind of scan this and see it with me as well. We can see on the phone how the 3D model looks. I'm going to do CNAR, camera opens up. And now put your phone in front of a wall instead of the floor, because basically image is going to go on the wall. So you can just move it around a little bit, pinch it to resize. You'll be able to basically place this kind of 3D sticker on the wall next to you. How cool is that? Super cool, isn't it? Fantastic. So we saw 3D models, we saw images. I want to show you videos as well. So let me just upload just a straight up video. There we go. And now let's also put it on an image. So we started out by putting a model anywhere, then we did an image in a specific location. Now let's put the 3D video on top of some image. So let's throw that in. Uploading to our cloud. What happens right now is very similar to what we saw earlier. We're taking the content, we're converting it, we're compressing it. We make sure that it works on any device anywhere, and basically making sure that you can kind of manage and deliver content of any type to any platform. So let's give it a sec to load. We can also basically, as you can see, upload many models, many 3D assets into our project. It could be as many as you want. So maybe I'll just add some more. So let's add this fox, for example. Let's put it in Canada. Let's allow it to upload as well. Perfect. There we go. That was already uploaded. Let's give the video another sec. And then we can see it overlay a different image. There we go. So now we have the video right here. Super simple, very similar to what we saw with kind of images and 3D models. But now that you can see that this kind of video also has like an image target associated with it. So let's see how that works in practice. If I scan this QR code, and again, you can do that same thing with me if you're watching this live. I'm going to scan this QR code. It redirects to a website. And again, no installation is needed. Once the camera kind of instantiates, we will put it in front of the QR code, but now the QR code won't work anymore as the target like we had with the Empire State Building. For this thing, we have to use the image target itself. So here's the image and here's the video on top of that. How cool is that? So we have the video playing on top of an image. And this image, again, could be anything you want. I'm moving kind of the video with my finger. But this image could be anything you want. It could be a magazine, it could be your business card. Then when someone scans it, they see a video of yourself talking about yourself. It could be an advertisement. Really, you're limited only by your imagination. And the ease of use is just to upload things to Echo and it just works automatically. Perfect. So we saw images, we saw videos, we saw 3D models, we saw face tracking, we saw image tracking, we saw surface tracking, all in the same platform, easily accessible through web. Now let's dive into other things that we can do with the platform and different resources that you can use in order to kind of create applications really rapidly. Okay, so in the platform, you can obviously switch a theme, dark being the default, but let's kind of allow you to kind of customize it a little bit. We have a bunch of resources here, like our documentation, GitHub, Slack channel, and so on and so forth. You can always reach out if you have any questions. But our documentation is basically a step-by-step guide of everything I just showed you right now. So literally just how to get a key, how to upload content, how to see it, how to share it. Really, really cool stuff around how to use Echo. And in our GitHub page, you can actually find an endless amount of open source examples that you can use right now. And I'm going to share just a few of them because, again, they're all open source and you can really kind of play around with them and start a project really easily. So let's just open a few ones just to kind of show you what are the use cases of kind of augmented reality and virtual reality and so on and so forth. Let's open a few of them. Yeah, there you go. So you can upload content, basically watch Disney shows with video and 3D model automatically. How cool is that? Or you can upload content around interior design, basically upload content and basically create this kind of cool interior design demo. Or here's another example for a game that you upload some tracks, some car, and then you can kind of build in an application with gaming that later we're going to see how you do that with the Unity game engine. Or here's an example with image targets that you can bring a museum to life with images and videos just by kind of overlaying images with new content in augmented reality. Or here's an example of remote work, obviously very relevant today. Literally have conversations with like a digital avatar of a person instead of having them in the room. Or here's another example that later we're going to recreate together of like this COVID tracker and basically see how COVID spreads around different continents. Here's another example of a solar system that basically is an educational app that you can upload stuff and overlay that with information. Or here's an example of a living room, basically a living room inside a living room that you can kind of share a video inside. Very, very cool stuff. Or here's a more topical kind of election demo that you can see results in real time, kind of send data through the cloud. So we mentioned data. Let's see how that works. So in Echo, you can actually manage all the data that is associated with your assets. So each content, so the skyscraper or the image has metadata associated with it that you can change and basically stream through the cloud as well. We have the subscription page that basically allows you to monitor how much bandwidth, storage, and API calls you're making, basically how much you and your users are kind of using the application. You can monitor locations, what servers are using and kind of serving your application. Remember, we added that content in Canada and New York, so we have that here. Here's the image in New York, or that Arctic Fox in kind of Canada, so we can see everything here in the distribution of users as well. We can kind of monitor the security application, add multiple users and kind of collaborators to our project. And the insights page, we can actually see how your application is performing. So what content is being streamed. So now we just streamed the Empire State Building. So we see this kind of surge in usage and basically monitor how your application is doing. If you're building something, again, going back to the example of e-commerce, if you have two couches, one is green, one is red, you can basically have a bunch of couches together and kind of see which one sells the most, the green couch or the red couch. You can monitor your users across the world, where users are coming from. You can convert and compress data. So for example, if you decide this 3D model, you want it to convert it to a 2D thumbnail, or you want to convert it to a different format, or that you want it to be decimated and compressed by 43%, you can literally do that just with a few clicks. And that model will kind of result in a smaller sized model. Same with images and videos that you can kind of compress and convert to different platforms and different file formats. You can edit assets inside the console. So let's say Christmas is coming up and we want to change our assets to reflect the Christmas spirit. Basically inject seasonal content and change content based on periodic updates. So we can go literally inside the Echo platform and then decide that we want this building to become, let's say, red instead of green. So let's try to do that. Hopefully it will load. See. If not, I'll come back up later. Yeah, screen isn't loading. That's okay. But you can basically in this screen kind of change textures and change the animations of content really with just a few clicks. Let's give it a sec. If it doesn't, I'll just move on. That's okay. In the customize page, you can basically overlay the data with kind of buttons and interactions and your logo, add music, add a background, basically allowing, if you're, let's say, again, building an NFT example or e-commerce example or a game, you can basically add buttons and information on top of the application, your logo, something like buy now or whatever. In the tutorial page, we have so many examples for you to choose from that are all kind of open source and things that you can build with Echo. We already discussed some of these examples. So all of them are here, things that you can build for art or here's a cool example of a makeup tutorial that one of our engineers built. Really, really cool and engaging stuff around image tracking and model tracking and really, really cool kind of stuff that you can build, all open source for you to use for free. So definitely check that out. Another example is our inspiration page that is filled with amazing examples of what people have built with Echo, from NFTs to home design to art installations, really, really cool and engaging stuff. It's all here. And basically things around AR and VR and COVID and all these kind of amazing things that our community have built. If you build something with Echo, let us know in the Slack channel and we'll be happy to feature you as well, to basically show the community what you've built. So definitely check out this page as well. Okay, so let's recap. What did we see so far and what we're going to see next? So we saw how you can upload content really easily. We saw you can kind of drag and drop some content, choose content, and then see it automatically on your face, on the floor, on an image. And we saw a lot of examples of how to use augmented virtual reality in the world and how to kind of inject 3D content in different use cases. Everything we did so far was very non-technical. Drag and dropping stuff, playing around with the console. And that's, again, something that we really kind of pride ourselves in, how easy it is to build applications really, really quickly. But now let's move into a more technical portion of the kind of talk that uses a game engine and streams data from Echo to that game engine to basically build a fully fledged VR experience or a game. It's going to be a little more technical, so kind of bear with me. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So we're going to build a game using the Unity game engine. So Unity is a game engine a lot of developers love to build games and AR VR applications. This is Unity. Here it is. What you need to do is you download Unity. It's totally free. Then you download our SDK, totally free as well. Double click the SDK and it should embed itself into Unity. Here we see an empty scene. There's nothing here. Hopefully you can see Unity on the screen as well. Hopefully, because I kind of chose to share it. You see the kind of Unity game engine, and you see the echo3D game object right here. I'm going to plug in, I'm going to delete the image. I'm going to plug in my API key right here, and I'm going to press play. Data received from the cloud to the game engine. So all the data that we have here, if it's the video or the two models, should really appear in just a sec in the Unity game engine. So let's see how that works. There you go. Data streaming from the cloud to the game engine, similarly to how earlier we had the 3D models kind of stream into my device, into my phone. Now we see it here. So here's the building, here's the video, and I think the fox is gonna occluded by the building. There we go. So let's delete the video because it's kind of playing in my ear. See that when I delete the video from the cloud, it kind of also disappears from our game. How cool is that? So real-time updates exist automatically. Let's move this a little bit. So I'm going to open the data panel. I'm going to add some data to it. For example, x equals 10. We'll move the asset to the right. Super cool, super easy. If I want to animate stuff, I can do the same. So something like, let's say direction equals right. Bam, it starts to animate in real time. So how cool is that? You're basically able to change your application in real time, change its state. You can add anything you want. So this is kind of totally free text. You can add anything, text, any data kind of key and value that you want, you can kind of add to your model, and that will stream from the cloud. Very cool stuff.
So you are incorporating these models into Unity by reference. In other words, every time you run this in Unity, it's going to stream from the cloud.
Exactly. So if I stop this application from running, everything disappears. Nothing actually persists in the memory. This means that when you build your application, it's going to be super, super small. When you publish it to the App Store, it's going to be small. That also helps kind of make sure that users actually want to download the app as opposed to kind of downloading an app that has 500 megabytes of assets built in.
Right.
And then when you restart the application, everything kind of comes back to the scene. But not only that it comes back in the exact same state. So let's give it a second to kind of stream in, but the building is still rotating and the fox is still 10 feet away from the building. So your state is kind of saved in the cloud, and that would kind of helps the content management. And if you have multiple users using the application, you can have them change states to others and kind of post data to the cloud, and that will reflect with everyone.
Okay.
Lovely, great question, man. Perfect. So we saw some kind of how we stream data to Unity. We saw how we kind of change that in real time. Let's do some minor coding just to kind of add features and stuff like that. So maybe I'll delete this building and I'm going to put the fox back in the middle. Again, everything will reflect in real time. What's cool about Echo is that every 3D asset that is being streamed in has the custom behavior script attached to it. It's a script in CSharp, for kind of in the CSharp language, in Unity format. Don't get alarmed. We're going to go through it together. But it's basically really easy to kind of code in new features and use data from the cloud in order to basically affect the asset through code. So as I mentioned, C# and Unity format, we have two main functions here. One is the start function, which is evident by its name, happens when you start the application. And the other function is the update function. This is a really cool function that kind of runs every single frame. Remember, you're coding in 3D now, which means there's like a video rendered. There's like this kind of environment that's constantly being rendered in front of you. So this kind of function happens, again, every single frame. It's like a while true loop or a never-ending for loop. This also means, because it's running constantly, that you have to kind of remember your kind of CS fundamentals of complexity and making sure this function doesn't hang or get stuck. But if it does, your entire application will kind of hang or will just freeze. But let's start with something simple. We have the start function that adds some script to the model, and then it asks, okay, do I have any additional data? If I do I have an additional data called name? And if that's the case, set the name of the object to that name. Okay, fair enough. Kind of super easy feature. Let's see what that means in practice. So that means that if I add something like name, so let's add that name here, and let's call the fox Kevin. If I press play, data again will stream from the cloud to the device, and we'll be able to see the cloud, the kind of a fox now named Kevin. How cool and simple is that? Just added content and then just use that. If I change that name from Kevin to, let's say, Tom, nothing changes. Why is that? Because the snippet of code that handles the naming happens in the start function. So it already happened. Like, we need to kind of restart the application for that code to run again. So let's see how that works. If I replay it, data will kind of, again, stream from the cloud, and now it's Tom. Super simple. But what happens if I want this kind of data to be changed in real time or constantly be checked for changes? So you guessed it, I'm going to move that kind of snippet of code from the start function to the update function, which basically means that every single frame, we're going to query the data. We're going to see, do I have any name? And if I do, let's change that name, basically change the name of the fox. So let's press play. The script will recompile. It might take a second. And there we go. Perfect. We're seeing the asset in a sec. There we go. We have Tom the fox right here. If I change this again from Tom to, let's say, back to Kevin, bam, the same reflected in the Unity game engine. How cool is that? So again, simple examples just to show you what you can do, how you can stream data, how you can kind of establish for loops, if statements that basically do something with your application, change something, inject something, and then allow you to customize that to the cloud. This means that you can enable or disable features. You can basically play around with data, play around with features, play around with if flows, and build your application however you like. I see we have a chat. Yep.
Let's say that you wanted the user to be able to control the speed of playback via fixed update instead of update. How would we go about that?
So when you say fixed update, you mean that it kind of happens once, or only when you change something in the app in the cloud, then that will change in the game?
Well, the fixed state update allows you control over the period between updates, so that you can do a slow motion, for example, if you want to.
Oh, so that Oh, that's a great question. So it really depends like how you build the animation. Like for example, when I showed the direction kind of feature, it's something that we kind of built in with basically allowing a model to rotate. That's a different script right here called remote transformations. And you can literally decide, you can literally inject a, like here it's we have it hard coded as speed, but you can basically have a, like add a additional data called speed and then change the speed based on that. And that's, we already kind of implemented that for you, but that's again, a great question that using code, you can literally say, what is the speed that I want, and then affect that inside your code. And then when you kind of apply those changes for your asset, making it rotate, you can use that data into consideration. So for example, here, we take that speed, we parse it to a number, and then when we set the offset to move the object each frame to basically make the Empire State Building rotate, we take that speed into consideration. And that will basically allow you to, make it into slow-mo or fast forward, whatever.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Great questions.
And can I ask you, like, since you are like toggling between two platforms, is there any way that I can download a plugin and then I just work directly in Unity, for example, and you make the entire platform echo3D as an interface, right? For example,
Yes.
something, yeah, that would be very easy.
So this is a perfect question. So everything you see in the Echo AR platform right here, it's actually through an API call. So everything you see, even in the console itself, actually parses all this data under the hood. And you can actually do this. Everything I just did in the console itself, you can do through API calls. And the same applies in Unity. So the same API that you see here is applied through code. So I can actually go to the Unity SDK and basically see stuff like how to update with code, just update a query, update data right here. And you can do that automatically.
Because I find out that echo3D, the interface is so easy for content creator or people without any code experience. So is there any way that you can build an interface, like just imagine like 3D, echo3D's stuff on Unity, right? So I open a panel and it's all like echo3D's, like I just write down.
So we don't like, you can build something like that. We don't have that built in like as a plugin, like in Unity, we just have the SDK, but with the SDK, you can basically do the same things. Like, for example, here's a function to update an entry data. So like basically say, I want direction equals right. And you can do that inside, like with code. We don't have like in Unity, we don't have this, some kind of screen that has that for you, but you can literally create something like that easily with this code. Like just call these functions and it'll be the same thing.
Yeah, because I find out that, for example, if I want to use echo3D to build things, I need to have a lot of screens, right? I need to have two and toggle back and forth. And
I think you can also add, I'm not 100% sure, but I actually think that you can add screens here. I think you can, I'm not sure if Unity supports that, maybe newer versions, but I think you can actually add a browser here as a tab. And then it might be the case that the same way I switch between a scene and a game, it'll just have like, because like this tab for the asset store, for example, it's just like a web page. So I think you can also add other web pages like Echo AR. Yeah, they're like open in browser or something like that. So definitely check it out. I'm not sure. We don't have a specific kind of dialogue screen in Echo, but that's a great kind of feature request, I guess.
Yeah, because when I do, for example, like Pro Builder or Wonton or a lot of like Unity plugin, those really helps like non-coder to adjust stuff just by visual. I would say scriptable object.
Yeah, that's a great feature. That's a great feature request. Again, today we kind of focus on the console and the web, but I'm sure you can kind of bring that into Unity at some capacity. Great feature. Awesome. Okay, so now that we saw this kind of simple example of Unity, let's do a more complex game together. So I'm going to put Unity.
Alan, I think there's another person who wants to bring up his question because he's.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let me read his question just because he is in a place where there's a background sound. So he said, it's from Yokoshi. He said that, hi, I'm Yokoshi. I have been developing XR for past 2 years. I'm working on a project that has a car model, almost 100 MB. Does it has to download every single time, or is there anything like I can store? And
Yeah.
what about animations? Yeah, that's his question.
That's a great question. So perfect. So there's two questions there. One is kind of when you want to use really large models. So when you upload them to Echo, we will actually convert and compress them to smaller models. So you don't have to re-download the 100 megabytes all the time. We will compress that 100 mega to like 1 megabyte. Also, you can cache the assets on the game engine, depending on how you kind of choose to go about it. But don't worry about it. Like our specialty is that you can upload like really, really large models, and we will convert them to be like super, super small so that you don't have to kind of re-download everything all the time. So that's a really, really great question. As for animations, works. You can literally upload even animated model. Let's see if I have something here. Yeah, I have some animated model of a robot. It will just work automatically. It's super, super easy. Just upload an animated model and that will work as well. Let me show you how that works. So uploading the same kind of 3D asset through the cloud, we already know how to do that. And then once that is done, I'll be able to just share that 3D model with you all. So let's give it a sec. But yeah, as I mentioned, you can literally, if GLBs, that's a one file format that supports animation. FBX is another. So here's the model. Let's go and see it right here. Whoops, sorry. There you go. Voila. So this is the model. It has animation. I can cycle between it. Super, super simple. We can also see it in augmented reality right here. So let's do something like this. If I scan this QR code and you can scan it with me, you'll be able to see the animated model in augmented reality. There we go. So CNAR. Hopefully you can still see my screen and mobile device. And voila, suddenly we have the same kind of animated model here. Super, super simple. Great questions, you guys. Love it. Let's transition into a more complex example then. So we saw kind of a simple application of just like streaming data. Let's delete that data and kind of add, let's kind of rebuild this game basically that has the COVID visualizer. Okay, so let's see how that works. So I am going to swap the custom behavior script. So the same script that we reviewed earlier, I'm going to just swap it to like a new script, some new features. And I'm going to add content from the cloud, content to the cloud. So here it is. I'm going to take it from local storage this time. And I'm also going to add, alongside the 3D model, I'm also going to add a CSV file, basically an Excel file that has all these kind of keys and values that our system will automatically parse and upload to the cloud with the asset. So let's do that. So uploading that to the cloud, the assets were changed, the script was changed. So let's review the script together. Okay, so here's the new script. Can you see this script? It's the custom behavior script. Basically, I'm going back to the code. So what we have here is basically a more interesting script at this point. It has the
I don't think
all
the
contents.
I don't think we're seeing the script.
So let me, how can I share it? See that too.
I think you can. Yeah, great.
Perfect. Perfect. So now you can basically see the script, very similar to what we had kind of earlier, but now it's a more interesting one. We have an array of all the continents. We have some dictionary. We have some data structure. We have the start function that we discussed earlier that basically looks exactly the same. And we have an update function that now is much more interesting. Now the update function says, do I have any additional data? If I do I have a scale? If I have it, let's parse it into a number. And then let's go through all the continents and see, do I have any relevant data on each continent? If so, let's parse the number associated with it to the number of cases. If we have a graph, let's update that graph. If we don't have a graph, let's create a graph. create a bar, give it a color, give it a name, give it a location, give it some text. And if we don't have data and we have a graph, let's just destroy it. So let's see how that works in practice. The 3D model that we have is already here in the console. All of the data is already kind of updated with that through that CSV file. And now if I press play, data will stream from the cloud to the game engine. And we're also going to see that extra script jumping into play. So let's see how that works. So there you go. We have Earth spinning. We have all these different kind of charts showing different values that are reflected through the console. And again, if we do the same thing that we had earlier, if we change data a little bit, so let's go to Antarctica and change 1 to an 8, bam, that will reflect automatically. Or if I delete it, it will also delete right here. So again, simple examples, but to show that how easily you can kind of use data, how easily you can kind of structure applications, how you can kind of change things remotely through code and basically create this entire application. The entire source code is here. I'm going to share it with you. Yeah, questions?
Can you or are you scraping this data off the web in real time?
Oh, no, but you can. So if you want, you can this is a perfect question because you can actually take this open source example, connect it to, I don't know, some third-party database like the WHO, and then update the data through API calls. So do exactly what we just did earlier, and then just change API calls and send that data through some kind of application. And then instead of having me manually, putting 3 or 5 or 4, you can literally change it with real-time data. Definitely an amazing application to build.
That brings up another question I was wondering about. In your environments, is it possible to insert a web page, a live web page from somewhere else?
Yes, but that's basically, there's 2 things here. One, I think Unity allows you to do that itself, like the Unity game engine. I think there's a web page component or a www component that you can just like embed. It's almost like a flat screen that basically shows any website that you want. And also, we allow you to embed stuff in, like if you want to embed this in a web page, like vice versa, basically like embed content into a web page, you can do that too. And let me show you how to do that. In our documentation, there's a section on how to add content to web pages. I have to basically embed it. And here it is, like an iframe that you plug in, and that you basically you'll be able to see that 3D model inside your own web page.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Love the questions. Awesome. Okay, so let's recap what we had here. So we saw how you upload content, how you upload images, videos, 3D models, how we put them on the floor and the face on an image. We saw how you interact with Unity, Java, stuff like all these different platforms. We saw an extensive demo with Unity, which is kind of a robust game engine that you should use. And we kind of explored different use cases and different tutorials and different kind of use cases of augmented reality that are kind of showcased on the platform. Again, if you're building something and you want to showcase that as well, just join our Slack, or if you have any kind of support questions, just jump in and our team will be happy to answer, and I'll try to be there as well to kind of answer any questions that people might have based on the demo. But let's go back to the slides, recap a little bit, discuss some more, and then we'll stop. Let's see. Hopefully this is also shared. Perfect. Okay, so we're back to slides. So what do we see? We saw that developers can choose any platform, if it's Android or iOS or web or Unity. We saw that content creators need no technical skills. Everything we did in the beginning was very, very non-technical. You're just going to drag and drop assets and they just work. And then Echo builds, stores, and delivers all the data to any device out there. And again, we saw different examples. If it's a game engine or mobile devices and web and mobile, you name it. We saw the developers basically save time and money of building applications. We saw the content creators need no technical skills, and we saw companies that basically can scale data all over the world by just tagging information and streaming it through kind of a network of servers that are already kind of defined for you. We discussed the different use cases of augmented reality and virtual reality, if it's surgery and shopping and tourism and ads and data visualization and kind of try before you buy and e-commerce. And we saw the inspiration page was filled with amazing examples our community have built. So really, really cool stuff. A little bit more about us, the company. We won a bunch of awards and we're kind of backed by some of the most amazing investors in the country, like Convoy Ventures and Reimagine Ventures and Space Capital and Techstars and Verizon. And we're there for every kind of major tech event. So if kind of, things go back to normal or you're traveling for a conference, definitely find our team and say hello. I'm going to be at South by Southwest in March. So if someone is there, please come and say hello. Yeah, we love to see at Echo that we kind of empower developers to build applications anywhere and any platform. So this is definitely the time for to build. This is the time that everyone's talking about the metaverse and what's your metaverse strategy and how you're building applications and how you're injecting 3D content into your industry. You should definitely do that, and you should definitely register today to kind of get an API key, do everything we just did today, upload content, stream it everywhere, and play around with it. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak. This is basically all I wanted to cover today. If you have any more questions, happy to answer them. But this was definitely so much fun to kind of show you Echo, go through it, answer questions, and kind of do a technical demo as well. So thank you so much, and kind of start building.
Cool. Thank you,